over the weekend, former President Donald Trump put out a call. Well, it's more of like a panicky post on Truth Social, urging supporters to do a mass protest over his potential indictment and arrest. So now Trump put out this call based on social media reports, cable news reports. Of course, there was actually no evidence that an indictment was forthcoming or that he was going to be arrested at that point in time. And by the way, we still don't know. There's still no indictment. Nonetheless, he puts out this call and says, "Take back our nation." Bit reminiscent of January 6th, let's be honest. And so that factors in here because that call pretty much went over like a lead balloon when it came to his supporters. Some of his most stringent allies were like, no, why don't we not do that? In fact, you even had Marjorie Taylor Greene borrowing a line from Vice President Harris and saying, "Don't come. Don't come." She didn't actually say that, but that's the vibe. Don't come. Don't come. Okay, so now, that said, are there people that showed up for a protest? Of course. And by the way, I don't think there's any problem with that. If you're going to go out and peacefully protest or even peacefully counter-protest, totally fine. Hey, you want to hold up a sign saying Trump's innocent or, the witch hunt. Okay. Hey, it's called the First Amendment. Totally fine. That said, when this happened and when some people did decide to show up, well, things got funny. And thankfully, just stayed funny. So let me explain. This is according to the Daily Beast's Zachary Petrizzo. People showed up in New York for a little bit of a protest and immediately turned on each other. He said, due to the post-Jan 6th paranoia, Trump supporters gathered at Trump Tower to voice their support of the former president are now being accused of being feds by fellow Trump supporters.
Please clap.
Yes. Oh, that's so good. That's so good. Stupid. All right. So now let me explain because there's kind of a, I don't know, it's a little bit of a disturbing reason, but let's get into it. A lot of Trump supporters, look, they didn't want to show up because they were afraid of being entrapped by law enforcement. All right. So now I have an example of one person just chiming in on social media, and it kind of represents some of the thoughts behind showing up for said protest. So again, you can see this. Seems like this confirmed that it's highly unlikely there will be an arrest today. Stage AF, and Trump supporters allegedly going outside of Trump Tower. Okay. So, look, there are people out there that are thinking, Fed. Oh, no, it's Fed. It's entrapment. Gee, I wonder if this has anything to do with the fact that Tucker Carlson and, other right-wing hosts are putting out conspiracy theories about the FBI inciting January 6th. Like being, in the crowd. The Ray Epps! You got Ray Epps! You got the feds that are in there. And it was all feds and Antifa. Really? Except that it wasn't. There's no evidence of feds or Antifa being part of January 6th. Nonetheless, they think, oh, no. See. The FBI, they're just trying to make Trump supporters look bad. So we're not going to take the bait this time. Oh, no. You're not going to bait us twice. Oh, no. You're not the master baiter there. Okay. I'm not going to take that.
Sexual anarchy.
Okay, but anyway, I know. I did that on purpose. Don't worry. Here's the thing about that, though. Okay, so it's never really made sense, the whole conspiracy theory of law enforcement set up to make Trump supporters look bad, when there is a pretty good subset of Trump supporters that do that by himself or themselves. They're pretty good at making themselves look bad. Not in every circumstance, by the way. There are certainly perfectly peaceful Trump supporters that go out there, they hold signs, they chant, whatever. They might, yell at some counter protesters. Okay, whatever. As long as there's no violence, totally fine. Totally fine. Okay? That said, a lot of the rioters, obviously they did make themselves look bad. And look, a lot of them who were arrested had been telegraphing their intentions to be violent on social media posts and private messages before January 6th. And so, look, there were plenty of warnings. There were so many warning signs before January 6th that the government did not take seriously, or as seriously as they should have. Law enforcement had been, I think, too lax in that. They didn't expect Trump supporters, for some odd reason, to do the things that they said that they were going to do. Now, why is that? I have a little bit of a theory. Okay, I think that it's because generally law enforcement has a conservative bias. I think it's because these organizations are generally filled with Republicans. I don't think that's a terribly bad thing. As long as you can do your job, your political affiliation doesn't really matter. As long as you can do your job fairly, right? So I don't really care. That said, does the FBI have a history of targeting left-wing protests? You goddamn right it does. You goddamn right it does. And look, the government has a history of ignoring right-wing extremism. And that's well documented. I'm trying not to generalize too much. Because, look, there are Republicans out there that I have disagreements on when it comes to taxes and things like that. That doesn't mean that they're, violent insurrectionists. No, there's a massive far-right movement that is dangerous. That is, you got people like the Sovereign Citizen, you got 3%ers, you got Proud Boys. Those are a big problem, right? There's where the extremism is. Charlottesville. Yes, thank you for pointing that out. So look, let me give you a good example, though, of how this right-wing extremism got ignored by the government. Do you guys remember, it was about 2009. This is right at the start of the Obama administration, and the Department of Homeland Security at the time had put out a warning, had warned different law enforcement agencies, hey, look, we've been monitoring right-wing extremism. It's on the rise. There's a lot of anti-government groups. There's a lot of white nationalist groups. Just be careful, because we think that there is going to be an increase in racist anti-Semitic violence. That is certainly possible. And so now the thing is, that report came out and right-wing media had a meltdown. Fox News, talk radio, right-wing pundits, they got so angry, so mad that the DHS ended up having to retract the report. The head apologized, and they even went out and broke up the team that drafted that report. They completely recanted and threw away that report. The leader of that team that was warning people about extremist right-wing violence was at the time a conservative Republican. He ended up being forced out. Now, at least as of 2019, he says, look, I'm not a Republican anymore. I'm an independent. I can't be part of that party anymore. Oh, who knows? Maybe he's now considered to be a George Soros paid socialist, communist, rhino. I don't know. All sorts of things, whatever.
Pink-haired communist.
There you go. That's what he apparently is now, to the right wing. And that's because the Republican Party has gotten more extreme. He hasn't changed his positions, as far as I know. The right has gotten far more extreme. And so that's kind of to illustrate how far it's gone. When something at the time was like, hey, look, yeah, I'm a right winger, I'm a Republican, and even I'm seeing that this is a clear and present danger. You might want to do something about that. Now the right wing, the Republican Party, is deep into conspiracy theories. And this is a great example of it. Now with basically Trump supporters calling each other feds. Again, no evidence. They don't need evidence. They have feelings. Forget about the evidence. We don't need it. We don't need any of that. Of course not. Of course not. Look.
Just forget about the evidence.
Okay. I was looking for that clip. The thing is, Republicans in law enforcement now are either people who are, again, still Republicans, but are trying to do their job, okay, to the best of their ability. And yes, there are people, I believe, that exist that do that. Just like there are left-wingers, that you're probably going to be shocked to hear this, work for the U.S. government in the Defense Department, okay, or defense contractors. Yes, I know that happens. Or, might work in, for example, finance. I know. Turns out you can do your job and have political opinions as well. And that doesn't necessarily have to, interfere with your job. It could. Look, for example, we saw people like Michael Flynn, who was, General Michael Flynn, who had completely lost his mind and thinks the vaccine is being put in your salad dressing. So, again, it's really law enforcement right now with Republicans is mixed between those two different types of groups. The insane people and the people that are like, I'm just trying to do my job and get a paycheck. That's it. They're not lefties. And so they're not out there trying to make Trump supporters look bad by infiltrating Trump protests as feds. It's such a ridiculous notion to me. Now, that said, every accusation is a confession, right? Yesterday, I did a story about Florida. So, in Florida, you had the government, ordering undercover officers, agents of the state. What were they doing? Well, they were ordered to go and watch drag shows and report on them. I'm not kidding. These undercover agents were ordered to watch drag shows to ensure that there was no lewd acts being done in the presence of or to children. That's what they're doing right now. So the right wing is saying, oh, how people infiltrating protests while they're infiltrating crowds at drag shows. Again, projection, every accusation is a confession with some of these people. Now, of course, there wasn't any lewd acts when it came to drag queens. Okay. And by the way, if there ever was, yeah, of course we'd be against that. Look, overall, the point is, MAGA chuds are suffering for some pretty deep paranoia. And look, I think it's mainly a result of what they see of consuming right-wing media. Again, all they hear when they tune in these different shows, you've got grifters saying, oh, watch out for the deep state, watch out for the FBI. What about Ray Epps? Ray Epps, the Hunter Biden laptop. They're coming for you. And Donald Trump, innocent of everything, just a victim of witch hunt. Always a victim, always a victim. You know who the real criminals are? Hunter Biden his laptop. That's what it is. He's a real criminal. By the way, if they do find out that Hunter Biden is a criminal, go after. Of course, I want I want him to be indicted. I do. I just want to live in a country where all the laws are applied equally, whether you're a politician on the right or left, rich or poor. That's what I want. Yes, for the law to apply equally, and for there to not be a two-tier justice system. That said, bottom line is, what's been happening at least this protest, and there are still protests that are going on right now, and again, they have remained peaceful, where, of course, you had people who are anti-Trump protesting, and then in the same place where pro-Trump people are protesting, no violence, no one's been arrested. And by the way, the people that are pro-Trump are massively, massively outnumbered, which probably has something to do with this paranoia. Maybe. But it's a great example of that. And of all of their rhetoric and their belief in conspiracy theories blowing up in their faces.